What's up, everybody? It's Bo Hyman back with another quick 10-minute review here, hopefully. And I'm going to be asking today if you should buy the Hexagear Bulkarm B standard type. You know how these names are. I'm not sure what all of this means. There's an image of it in a different color than the one you get. I'm not sure why they did that. And I had recently wanted to try Hexagear kits. I had heard a lot of good things about them, or at least I saw a lot of good things about them when I would see them on a review video and everything. I thought, oh, that is so cool looking. I've got to get me one. They're not super cheap. Like Gunpla kits, you can get really cheap. For example, this War Greymon, or whatever you call them back there, was I think $30-something. This was more like 50, but you know, about the same height. But this definitely has a lot more bulkiness to it, and is definitely a heftier kit, larger parts. So, you know, you get what you pay for. I ended up buying two of these, two different versions of these, the Bulkarm B standard type and the Lumberjack. I'm not sure what the difference is, but from what I can tell, they look about the same and probably act about the same. But I'm going to be doing several quick reviews like this as I work my way through the backlog on my shelf. So this is, I guess, meant to be kind of like I don't know, a light unit. I don't know if it's, you know, whatever, but I really actually am trying to get the gloss in there. I like the size of these guys. I like how they're not huge. Another line that I'm really, you know, a fan of, you know, one of my favorite mechas out there are Votoms. And as you know, with Votoms, they're not huge. They're kind of like this, where there's a pilot sitting inside, and they're what, I don't know, 14 feet tall or something, 12 feet tall. So they're not massive like a Gunpla, or a Gundam, I'm sorry. So, but you've got a lot of really easy to follow instructions. One of my complaints with these is that the plastic, while it is a bit sturdier, I guess you would say, sorry, I knocked that around there, it definitely takes to scratches and to nub marks and stuff a lot more. And there are a lot of them on this kit. But again, if you're like me and you tend to paint yours, you snap them together first, and then you see what you want to do with it, and then you go from there. So if you're painting them, the scratches and all that will not really matter that much. So fun build, I guess, for the most part. Pretty simple. One of the complaints I have so far about these I can never say this correctly, I apologize. This brand right here, Kotobukiya, if other people can say it perfectly fine, I cannot, is that they give you a ton of sprues, and I'll show you an example here because I'm working on a spider type one. So they give you a ton of sprues like this, which is fine. You've got C, you know, and you've got all these little parts. But then it'll be such a mix of not even other colors, but they tend to do a lot of these small sprues like this. So instead of making one large one of all the same color, for example, like these little guys, you'll have, that might be a slightly different color, but the example still stands. You'll have all these little small ones. So you end up getting sprues in the M's and the O's and the S's and stuff. It's crazy how many different ones you have. I mean, this is just for that one spider one, which is a much smaller kit than this big guy here. Not much smaller, but it's definitely not as large. And so you end up having just a pile. I end up with, so far on these two kits that I'm building, I end up just having a pile of sprues, and you're going through the instructions here, and it goes, you know, like, let's see if I can find a good example here. So you got D, H, H. So you got D and H, which are nowhere near each other. And then down here you got P, and then J. So you're just constantly switching piles and piles of parts and cutting them out, and it's very annoying. I ended up laying all the sprues out on my table here and just grabbing them, standing up and looking down. And then after a while, honestly, I got so sick of looking for them all, I just put them in a big pile and would just look for them like I was leafing through random, you know, paperwork or something. So the way they arrange their building, the steps in their building, is really annoying. Gunpla kits have gotten really good over the years about planning all that out. So you tend to kind of work in groups. And now with technology, you can have sprues that have, you know, like you could have two of these on one sprue. So they could all be the same letter. It's just a little bit, it keeps the clutter down. So So it's a little bit annoying that way. But other than that, the build is fine. It's fun. It's fun seeing it go together. You know how it's going to work. But, it goes together smoothly, and it's kind of fun watching it build. Let's show some of the gimmicks real quick. I'm not a big, pose guy, but basically the pilot goes in here. And the pilot is called a governor, which is a cool term for like a mech pilot. I've got a governor now. They were all out, but I ended up finding one and got it shipped to me really quick because I want to build one and put them in here. So you can see about the size of the mech there. It's not a really large mech. It's, the guy's like that tall. And the only problem I have with these is, of course it's not real, but I like it to be a little more realistic. I mean, I don't know if this metal here is supposed to be so strong as to hold up the weight of all these parts. Also, I don't know where the engine or the motor, I guess, would be to drive the power plant for this thing. There's no real obvious power plant. I wish they would think about that a bit more, which is the advantage of a Gunpla type robot like that. You have a giant body you can, throw it in. But it's really cool as it goes together. You can really see as the pilot seat comes together. I'm not sure why it has a head when the camera thing is here. I mean, you could just do away with this whole thing. See, and that could just be the front. But, that happens too. I'll talk about that in a second. But I guess this is like the upper view or something. Whatever, I don't know. Anyway, this happens a lot too, but I think it's probably supposed to happen, that it's easy to do this. I don't know why, but I think the idea with Hexagear is that you're going to be swapping out parts and stuff quite a bit. But it's quite posable and stuff. I do like that the robotiness, it's not just magical, it's not organic looking. It looks very much like a realistic robot, military grade, where if this part broke, you can just pull it off on the field and put in a new one. I like that kind of aspect of it. It's more kind of realistic looking, like it looks more like modern armor slapped to a robot, basically. So some of the parts just do that, but none of them that are really important fall apart that easy. For example, this is the best gimmick out of this whole kit. Is you see the feet here. The feet are literally, now I don't know how this is supposed to work in the field. Like, does it just pop off and he hobbles around, or I don't know how that works. But let me show you this gimmick because it's really, really cool. The feet are basically hovercrafts, literally hovercrafts. So you know how like a Gunpla, or a Gundam, I should say, in the cartoons, the anime, glide across the land, like they're on air skates or something. And Votoms literally have wheels. These guys literally have, they ride on a cushion of air, and then you can take these off, and the governors can sit here. I can't remember how. I'll have to put those together and see, and drive these individually as a little individual mini hovercraft. So at first I was like, that's really goofy that it has hovercraft for feet. But then I thought about how other giant robot stuff will literally skate across, the ground or whatever, without really any explanation. And this gives it a really good, actually pretty solid explanation as well, that it could go across water, across, sand or whatever. But it still actually had them as feet, so it could actually, physically walk across terrain as well. It's not super posable, but it's not bad. I'm not going to go through all the this bins here and this bins there. I hate those parts in videos. It's just really boring. But it does have some posability, quite a bit, but it feels about appropriate for I guess, a military robot like this, to be able to just basically walk and aim and shoot and turn, It has the knife here. It comes also with a giant gun. I don't have the gun. I put it in my little, I don't use the guns a lot. I think they're kind of goofy. But it does look cool, if that's what you're into. So I might paint it up and put it on here, but I like the melee weapon. It's pretty cool. I don't know why it's a knife instead of just like a club or whatever. But anyway, cool. So not too many gimmicks, but it does feel really sturdy. It's a really fun kit to play with. Also, it doesn't fall on your shelf. You can pose it, and it's just going to stay up. And I'm so sick of little, like this master grade back here that just collapses. You breathe on it wrong. But so that's just kind of a quick look at the Bulkarm B. I would definitely, would you buy it? I think if you have $50, $45, it's definitely worth it. I'm going to get on to my others, and I'll talk to everybody later.